Guys, I don't know if you know this, but our last episode of 2022 had a much talked about interview. Did you know this, Frank? Did you know that there was an interview on the show that a lot of people are still talking about?
I think I did see that, yeah.
A lot of people were talking about it. A lot of people seem to enjoy it. A lot of people like to break it down and, do scorecards, sense heaven, all that stuff. In case you don't know what I'm talking about our in-studio interview with one Dillon Danis. Now, back in November, we were talking about Dillon Danis, and I think we were talking about his weekend in Austin. There was a Misfits boxing event. There was an incident in the parking lot, this and that. And I remember the guy, I actually wasn't really planning on talking about it, but I remember the boys in the back wanted to talk about this fight that was made between one KSI and Dillon Danis. It was announced on the broadcast that they would be fighting on January 14th. And so they brought it up, and I gave you my initial sort of off-the-cuff feelings about it all. And I believe... Actually, no, I don't believe. I think we have the footage. Here's what I said about the announcement that Dillon Danis, MMA fighter, former BJJ practitioner who had not competed in a fight since June of 2019. Here's what I said about the announcement that he was going to fight KSI, the YouTuber, the influencer, the part owner of the great Prime energy drink. Here's what I said when we spoke about it on the Monday after the announcement in late November. Are we really talking about
not
this?
only the Dillon Danis
we are,
thing, but he also got a fight book.
We are really talking about this.
Dillon Danis, first of all, I'm setting the line at minus 9,000. Fight doesn't happen. Dillon Danis versus KSI.
I think
I don't think that it does happen.
That seems fair. I'll say that.
This feels like a total farce of a fight. I don't even know why. KSI is actually a very popular guy. I don't even know why he's entertaining this. KSI versus 4 random dudes who come.
He's done two already.
Yeah, no, I'm saying 4
yeah,
who, deliver my Uber Eats would do better and be more interesting than this. Dillon Danis has become the wet fart of combat sports. Like the thing that no one wants, the thing that you try to avoid, the thing that is just continuously embarrassing to everyone involved. That scene, first of all, the scene outside of MSG with Audie and Nate Diaz, embarrassing. The scene outside the hotel or whatever it was with Anthony Taylor, embarrassing. The scene with KSI, embarrassing. The in-cage stuff, embarrassing. And you forget that at one point, this guy was very respected, or at least to a degree respected in the world of jiu-jitsu. And even when he came over to MMA, he was making some waves, this and that, and Bellator was promoting him. And all this is just so whack. And on the MMA Fighting Instagram, I wrote, when you guys posted, I saw that and I was like, oh, is this fake? Like, is this really going to happen? I wasn't watching it. I wrote why. I just wrote why. Dillon sent me a DM saying, stop being a bitch. And I was like, I don't even care to respond to you. You're a wet fart. I don't want anything to do with you. Ah, yes. And so that was back in November of 2022, of course, the previous year. And, I thought that we were not going to talk about it. I thought it would just fizzle out. Unfortunately for me, I was approached about having Dillon Danis in studio on this here program. And, I thought to myself, I don't really want anything to do with this. I don't want to be contaminated by the wet fart of combat sports, the wet fart of MMA. And so my instincts were to actually say no. But I asked my good friends in the back, and they said, you know what? Just have a laugh, end the year on a high note. Why not? And then I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe there'll be a nice sort of redemption arc here. Maybe I can actually have a proper conversation with the guy and show people that, hey, in 2023, he's going to come back and this is going to be the redemption story to end all redemption stories. And he's going to rejuvenate his whole career, and he's going to go out there and he's going to knock out KSI, and then he's going to do this and that. And maybe I can actually show the world that this guy is likable, despite all the annoying tweets, despite all the lies, all this stuff. Maybe I can actually turn this guy into a babyface. Well, right off the bat, as you may recall, he didn't want to shake my hands. And that's a bitch move. You walk into someone's house, you shake their hand. And that to me set the tone for the entire interview. I did face to face say this to him about the prospects of him fighting KSI and my belief that he would not fight KSI. Let's take a look. Frank, what's the line of this fight actually happening? What did GC say at the beginning of the show?
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Frank says yes.
I'll pay for the pay-per-view.
Thank
Wow.
you. See? So you could go to his
See,
house.
we're not all bad. No, GC, what did we say? Plus 10,000? I don't know if you could.
You said plus 10,000.
Yeah, I did say plus 10,000.
Who do you think's
Close
gonna
enough. I think it was 9. If the fight happens?
Yeah. No, if it doesn't happen, who's going to win?
Well, I'm trying to just put the caveat.
You keep saying that. You're supposed to be fucking hyping up the fight. You're supposed to be a journalist. You're just like against me.
No, I'm not against you.
Yeah, you are.
I just have my doubts that this fight.
Why?
I was being kind.
Have I ever pulled out a fight?
You didn't show up to the press conference.
Yeah, because fuck them.
Didn't show up to the press
You
conference.
would think that you'd want to sell the fight.
Didn't show up to the press conference. Didn't show up to the fight. One more clip for good measure. Here's what else Dillon had to say in his much talked about interview, which he is so proud of, which he's gone on a media tour about to tell the world that it's the most watched interview of ours of 2022. And guess what? When he does all these other interviews, he can't even break 150K. Hey, Dillon, newsflash for you. The reason why it has 1 million is because of me, you fucking asshole, not because of you. Play the clip, please. Why are you fighting KSI?
Because I'm going to make a fucking bag to fight a YouTube.
Well, what's a bag? Tell us.
It's a lot. I told you. It's more.
Seven figures?
Yeah. I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Plus sponsorships, everything at the end of the day.
Why are people saying you're not going to show up?
Why wouldn't I show up? It's the stupidest thing ever.
Who are you training with?
Right now? I just train around different gyms. Yeah.
You don't have a home?
No, not right now.
You don't have like a main head coach?
No.
Who's going to be your guy?
I coach myself. I don't need fucking help for KSI.
You're not going to have a corner?
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Come on.
Dude, KSI is not
can't
good.
be that disliked.
Yeah.
No one wants to train with you?
No, it's not that. I just don't trust nobody right now.
Yeah, and that should have been all she wrote. That should have been the smoking gun. Don't have a coach? Think that your pad work is impressive? Come on, man. Don't show up to the press conference? Don't have any training partners? Foolish. Shame on DAZN, shame on Misfits, shame on everyone who thought that this was actually going to happen. Now, they announced a replacement. KSI is fighting January 14th. I'm assuming this replacement's going to show up. I'm not familiar with his work on YouTube, but God bless. Better chance of him showing up. Better chance of fucking Sally down the block showing up rather than Dillon Danis. Better chance than the guy who delivered my Uber Eats of showing up than Dillon Danis. I told you all. And after that interview, and the guys could attest to this, I was down. I felt dirty. I felt legit dirty. I felt like I had wasted your time. I felt like I had wasted my time. I sat in front of a man with fake teeth who was constantly lying, making up shit. And then he went on other shows and lied and lied and lied and lied and actually thought, my friends, that he got the better of me in that interview and actually thought that we were back in each other's good graces and actually sent me multiple DMs after the show, after the interview, to be like, yo, bro, that was good shit, right? You know what I did every time I saw him pop up? Delete. And then he would delete, and then I would just delete the conversation. And then he reached out to friends, and he's like, is Ariel mad? Is Ariel mad? Again, you lie in front of me or behind my back or on other shows, and I have zero respect for you. Zero. And so he came on here, and I thought we were going to have a nice conversation, and I thought we were going to break bread, and I thought we were going to mend fences. And what did he do? He lied. He lied about the state of our relationship. He lied about the state of his relationship. He lied about his intentions. I didn't think in that moment, sitting there, leaving that show, that he was going to fight. I don't believe he believed that he was going to fight. And what's the excuse? The excuse that we're told from Mams of Misfits was that he is underprepared. He doesn't have a team. He doesn't have a coach. He just came to this realization on January 4th, 10 days before the fight, that he doesn't have a team. He told us this on December the freaking 20th or 21st, whatever that date was. He told us this. Oh, and what else? Oh, he wasn't happy about the rehydration clause. He said to Chael Sonnen that there was a rehydration clause. Guess what? They scrapped the rehydration clause. There was no rehydration clause. He could have showed up at 220 pounds if he wanted to. And he went running. He went MIA. Wet fart, fake, phony, liar, wasting everyone's time. And if you're wondering, why are you going in on Dillon so bad? It's the same reason I go in on Brendan. It's the same reason I go in on Dana. It's the same reason I go on all these people. It's because I hate fucking liars. I hate liars. I don't, people pull out of fights all the time. People don't show up all the time. People don't, make their dates all the time. I don't like liars. And I don't like people who live in this freaking fantasy world and they think that just by tweeting shit and staying in the news makes you famous, makes you relevant, makes you popular. It doesn't. All right? He's a liar, and whatever roasting he's getting today, it's all well-deserved. Now, I need to talk to GC and New York Rick and Frank as well, because I need to collect my money. I heard on that clip, you guys said it was going to happen.
Yeah, cash it, minus 9,000. I can't remember the initial wager.
Whatever. What do you want it to be? $5? What's minus?
All right, $5 paying out at minus 9,000.
Yeah, but also if it's minus 9,000, is it also like a plus 10,000 or does it not work that way?
Well, it was fight 2 happen was plus 10,000, even though that would be an inaccurate line. But yes, cash the minus 9,000 tickets. I'll have your nickel for you whenever you're ready.
Please.
It was a great call by you. It was a great call.
You really believed it was going to happen.
Yeah, I thought I think my favorite part is that I am on tape believing in Dillon Danis to show up to a fight, but I'm also in that ridiculous American garb for the World Cup, just to really hammer down how dumb I look in that situation.
I also think, and I don't want to, I'm sorry for throwing you further under the bus. I believe you said you were going to place a bet on Dillon Danis as well to back him in the fight, not only just to make it.
Did you place the bet?
No. I was ready to place the bet after the pad work video.
I will
really
say,
just a bad look all around for me.
I thought he was going to fight. I thought this was the one.
You all thought. Both of you. And Frank did too.
I mean,
Frank
I
said
will
he was
no
gonna-
longer be buying the pay-per-view.
Frankie was ready to buy the pay-per-view.
Here's the scenario, right? KSI is not a great boxer. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Not a great boxer. If we're comparing of all the YouTube boxers,
Sure.
he's not great. Jake Paul's a significantly better boxer. KSI is not a great boxer. Dillon Danis has been training in martial arts for his entire life. He doesn't need to be that prepared to show up for this fight.
Agreed.
He walks into the ring and just fights, he will be fine. Will he win? I don't know. Probably not. That pad work looked pretty awful, and his striking's never
He
been
thought
great.
it looked good. Did you notice that part where I was like, yo, you're trolling
trapped
us,
him.
right?
You trapped
And then he's like, oh, yeah, I was trolling you. I was like, what? What are you talking about?
But you trapped him into having to pretend that it wasn't for real. But he had in his head, he had to know, oh shoot, that is for real, and I'm in rough shape. But he could have shown up and just collected the check and collected the back. I thought that there was no way that he just forfeits this opportunity to get the money, and somehow he did it.
What is worse in in both of yours opinion? Not showing up to fight KSI, right? Who, as you said, is
He's fine.
of the less. I mean, he's not Jake Paul, right? Is that fair? Jake Paul beats him.
Fair.
Okay, so not showing up and having this excuse, not even making up an injury, like make up a fucking injury, bro. Like, let's say you tore your bicep or some shit. I don't know, or you really
we haven't really heard from him, to be fair.
Yeah, okay, go
This
on.
is coming from KSI's side of the fence.
Trust me. It's the accurate side of the fence.
Yeah.
Don't need two sources on this one, Bubba, all right? Okay? What's better? Or what's worse? That or getting knocked out by KSI? Honest question. I've been debating this all morning.
Not showing up because of the preponderance of how many times this has happened now. This continues to happen. It is becoming overwhelming to the point like he is now the guy that cannot be trusted, which is
And we'll never know what would have happened either. Like, I feel like if you show up, you at least showed up to fight, and you got knocked out. Just not being there, and like everyone, you are a testament to it. Everyone's saying that he was never going to show up in the first place, and then he goes through with not showing up. I think is the much worse.
I
look.
truly believe in my heart of hearts. I mean this when I say this. No matter how compromised he is, and I know he's dealt with knee issues and things in the past. No matter how compromised he is, if he showed up on January, 14th? What was the date of it?
Yeah, I had it circled on the calendar.
He would have been fine. He would have been competitive with KSI in a boxing match. It wouldn't have been pretty. Neither of them is. I'm not writing home about either of them, but it would have been fine. He would have been in there, and it would have been fine, and he would have gotten paid. I'm not sure what the mental hurdle that he needs to cross is, but there's something off.
I don't even think he would have gotten knocked out, by the way.
Yeah,
I think he
so.
probably
It
would
would've
have.
been fine.
I think chances are he loses via decision.
Yep.
Just because the other dude is in better shape and has
Yeah.
actively fought over the past year. It would have been, he could have then said, oh yeah, fight me in MMA. That's a real fight. He was already doing that shtick. with Chael, and it was so hard to concentrate on the video because his big freaking fake teeth are just like sticking out there.
I think
it's crazy to me that he pulled out of this. Crazy for a pro fighter to pull out of this, for a quote unquote pro fighter.
He has written a very big check, right? This entire, from the moment he got linked up with Conor McGregor until now, he has been writing the same check. It's this one check that is, I'm the bad guy, I'm going to play this up, I'm the heel, and he just continues to escalate it and escalate it and escalate it and escalate it. I imagine in his mind, the worst case scenario is he shows up there, he's underprepared, and he gets knocked out, and now the avalanche is as bad as you could assume, and the question that you're asking is which is worse. So that could happen. So he'd rather avoid that possibility, say, okay, I'll get the next one, but I'm not sure that he's ever going to get another one. Like, if you're somebody, can you rely on Dillon Danis to show up to the fight?
Actually, Mam said that. And I saw his interview with the Misfits channel, and he was like, how do you book him again? And by the way, Bellator did take some money. I wonder if they're going to pay the money back, or maybe it wasn't, transferred yet. And what I was told was, like, Coker was essentially saying, like, yo, like, give us a little something just to let him fight, because he's been such a pain in the ass, just so we could recoup some of the investment that we had in this dude. All right. If you're Bellator, how are you booking this guy? If you're anyone, how are you booking this guy?
That's the thing. If you're anyone.
If you're Bellator, unlike this event, right, these boxing events, he was the headliner. He was the card. If you're Bellator, you throw him on the prelim somewhere, or throw him somewhere, hope he shows up. If he doesn't show up, you got a backup ready to go, and you move on with your life. So I think it has to be as low stakes as possible. But he can absolutely not be booked to headline a card anymore at this point, right? It's just not possible. How could you trust it?
I can't wait for the stupid tweet that he's going to think is witty, that maybe Doug Crosby will help him ghostwrite. Because that is a thing, by the way. I said that. Doug Crosby did help him write tweets about me early last year, which, I mean, just sit on that one for a second.
That's just a crazy story line.
I can't wait to see how he spins this. Just an embarrassment. And I swear, I'm not lying. I was deep down, as I said to him, I believe deep down there's a good young kid there.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that actually was pulling for him.
He's not that guy. He's really not. He is not the character he's portrayed, but now he's backed himself into a corner where he worked himself into a shoot, and
That's
he is
exactly it.
He is the character now, and he has no separation from it. But he's really not that guy. I mean, I see, like, I've even seen it just like a moment ago. I saw somebody tweeting about, like, they were at Marcelo's when he was coming up, and they looked up to him, and he was the guy, and he's just not that guy. It was teaming up with Conor McGregor, thinking he needed to craft this villain persona, be the bad guy. And now he's backed himself into a corner that he can't get out of, and it's unfortunate.
Worked himself into a shoot. Very well said. In retrospect, the worst thing to happen to him was probably the Conor thing. Not because it was, I mean, I get why Conor did it, and it made sense. It's just that he then, like, freaking ingested all of this hype, and then started to believe that he was Conor, or as big as Conor, and all this stuff. And it was like, oh, sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge funny when he would say he was the highest paid guy in Bellator, but we didn't actually think that he was believing this shit. Now I just think, again, he's the puppy who lost his way. Like, he doesn't even know what to believe at this point. Yeah. And it's a sad state of affairs when you have to have your head on a swivel, where you don't have a team, you don't have a coach, where you're, like, looking if people are coming after you. Like, who wants to live like that? No one wants to live like that. And it's all very avoidable, but he brings this upon himself. So
yeah, and for what? Like, he has to live like that for what? I mean, there's nothing. Like a few Twitter followers.
Right. I couldn't believe that he left that interview thinking that it was a good representation of him, and B, that he got the best of me. I couldn't believe it.
One look at the comments or tweets or anything, and you can.
People actually liked it. People were like, "Oh, this is great. They should make a Danis and Helwani show." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" What? Like, I have had to question the sanity of a lot of people online over the last week or so. I mean, that's another example.
But this is one of the problems related to Dillon Danis, which is, everybody is in a rush to talk about how irrelevant Dillon Danis is, but they continue to talk about Dillon Danis. If he's truly irrelevant, don't say his name.
Okay, but then you can say that to me, right? Say that to me, at me, right? But here's the thing. I haven't talked about him. I only had to talk about it because this was... No, but it is. Because I am saying he's irrelevant. You are talking about me. I am saying he's irrelevant. And yet, here I am spending 20 minutes on him. But the reason I'm spending 20 minutes on him is because I had to fucking stare at him for an hour and a half, and he pissed me off with every single comment that he said. Like, really annoyed me.
Yeah. Fair enough. But first of all, you're not alone, right? There is a an entire universe of people, the MMA community, which is like, oh boy, I'm not surprised. Oh boy, I don't want to see any more about Dillon Danis. But they are telling you they do want to see more about Dillon Danis. It's counterintuitive to their actual interests. I look, whatever Dillon Danis says next is going to be very crucial. I don't imagine it's going to be well crafted. If I'm being honest, he hasn't taken many good steps so far. But this is going to be very crucial, and then he might just go away. I don't see how somebody gives him an opportunity other than Bellator, who has him under contract, could do it low risk. You put him somewhere on a card. If he shows up, great. If he doesn't, great.
I highly doubt he's going to go away.
No, I think he might show up on another one of these like influencer things. Maybe he fights freaking Anthony Taylor. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But when he told me he doesn't have a team, doesn't have a coach, I was like, all right, this guy's not taking this seriously, and as expected. All right, enough about Dillon Danis. They're fighting on January 14th.